After I failed to conquer 3 male leads, the system was about to delete me. Then, without warning, my account was forcibly logged out. Hello, host. I am Advanced System 001. My mission success rate is 100%. To preserve that record, you will restart the 3 missions you failed. A raw, helpless sound escaped me. I can't crawl for anyone anymore. I honestly cannot. 001 answered with a cold, humorless sound. Crawl?
No.
If someone refuses to love you, I will remove them. I blinked, confused. Wait, what? My body was dumped onto a muddy mountain trail. I watched, detached, as wild animals tore flesh from bone until only a clean pile of skeleton remained. Floating above my ruined body, my consciousness was yanked back into the system's sterile, white void. A small blue orb swayed in front of me, its light dimmed with disappointment. Regrettably, host, you have failed 3 successive conquest missions. Under the Transmigration Codex, your system authorizes your deletion. I did not protest. After 3 catastrophic losses, hope had bled out of me. Each target had been worse than the last, each a particular kind of monster, and I had been forced to abase myself, to discard dignity and act like an eager, pleading shadow. Resist, and the old system punished me with electric shocks or force control until the end, always ending in a violent, unceremonious death. So when the verdict fell, I felt only exhaustion. I had no fight left to beg with. I lay on the white floor, ready to let the final seconds pass. Deletion countdown initiated. 3, 2. Before it reached 1, the blue orb blinked out. In its place appeared a larger, luminous golden sphere, brighter and more substantial. It inclined itself in a tiny, formal nod. Greetings, host 739. I am System 001. Given the absolute failure of you and your previous system, I am assuming responsibility for your case. I push myself to a sitting position. Assume responsibility for what? I'm slated for deletion. A new system cannot change that. 001's voice was flat, almost clinical. Your situation is an extreme anomaly. A continuous string of perfect failures is exceptionally rare in our transmigration division. I filed a petition to cancel your deletion. Instead, we'll terminate the previous system. My lips shook. Terminate. Good riddance, I thought, a laugh nearly bubbling up. Then reality settled in, and the small relief turned cold. If 001 was stepping in, that meant going back. Back to missions, back to servility. The idea extinguished the brief spark of triumph. You know what? Just kill me. I slumped back to the floor, voice raw. I refuse to be anyone's doormat. Doormats only get walked on and they end up with nothing. For the first time, 001 sounded genuinely startled, a note of real surprise in its synthetic tone. That is how your former system forced compliance. I answered before I could stop myself. What else was I supposed to do? If I refused, it shocked me or took control of my body. I think I have nightmares now, just from being near men. Memories of humiliation and pain swept over me, and I broke down, letting tears fall. I just can't grovel anymore. 001 was quiet for a breath, then that same cold laugh returned. Groveling?
No.
If anyone refuses to fall for you, I will eliminate them. I managed. Is that even allowed? Before I could object, 001 warped me into the first world I had failed, its words still ringing in my head. 001, do not accept failure. We rise back up exactly where we failed at. The first sensation was the cold, sticky sting of red wine across my face. Asher towered over me, arms folded, his expression an iced-over sneer. Cut the theatrics, Evelyn. If you hadn't been making a scene, Isabel wouldn't be ignoring me. Since you love drama so much, fine. Give them a show. He snapped his fingers, and 6 hulking men appeared, brutish and ready. He even had a camera set up, primed to record the humiliation he'd arranged. That's when I looked down and realized I was wearing a clingy, backless red dress, soaked through by the wine. Every curve exposed. A painful wave of déjà vu hit. This was the scene I remembered, the one where Asher blamed me for Isabel's jealousy, hired thugs to shame me, filmed it and uploaded it. My reputation was ruined, I was sold off, and I died a miserable death overseas. The memory made my limbs tremble. Asher noticed my hesitation and smirked. Scared now? Too late for that. He nodded, and the nearest thug lunged. Then 001's voice filled my head. Do not fear, host. I have uploaded advanced combat protocols to your mind. Follow my instructions exactly. It was true, the download burning through me. Strength, precision, confidence like a sudden, fierce engine. The thug's leering face was inches away. I shut my eyes and threw a single punch at his nose. There was an enormous boom. When I opened my eyes, the man had vanished, replaced by a jagged, cavernous hole blasted through the hotel wall. The other 5 thugs stared, pale with terror, stumbling backward. Asher's smugness evaporated. 001's command came, clinical and flat. Now go slap Asher a few times. A thrill passed through me. Just a few slaps? If you prefer, you can give him a proper beating. My fingers flexed. Any restrictions? None. Beat him until he is unrecognizable, then beat him more until he feels like a distant relative. 001 answered without fuss. Beat him until he kneels and calls you mom. I stepped toward Asher. The thugs scrambled out of the room as soon as they saw the fight had turned. Asher, what are you doing? He asked, baffled. Asher, I said, quietly, long time no see. He looked confused. What are you talking about? I didn't explain. I slapped him, the sound crisp and impossible to ignore. He snarled. You wouldn't leave me alone. I was just pushing back. Another hard slap cut him off. He fell and hit the cabinet edge, pain contorting his face. You bitch, I'll kill you, he spat. I stayed silent, letting action replace words. A punch knocked out a few teeth. Another move snapped an arm with a sickening crack. I kept going until he was begging. I was wrong. Please stop. I didn't stop until his eyes rolled back and he collapsed unconscious. 001's voice floated in my head, oddly approving. A pity you did not kill him, but that is progress. My stomach dropped. Isn't he my conquest target? If I kill him, won't the mission fail? 001 sounded completely unconcerned. So what? If he dies, we will just pick another. Killing him was out of the question. This world had laws, and if Asher actually died, I'd be facing a prison sentence, not freedom. But letting him walk away wasn't smart either. Knowing his spiteful streak, he'd spend every waking moment plotting revenge. Then an idea hit me. I dragged his limp body onto the bed and called out to my new partner. 001, can you hack into Asher's phone and call those men back? 001 sounded genuinely insulted. Is that really all you think I can do? I blinked. What's wrong with that request? With my level of processing power, a 001 replied in a lofty tone. I could summon an army if I wanted. 100 men easily did. That won't be necessary. I declined politely, and before long, the original 6 thugs crept back into the hotel room. The moment they saw me standing there, their faces went pale. They turned to flee, but I blocked the door. Calm down, I said lightly. Just do what I ask, and I'll pay you double what he did. They hesitated. Then I pointed at Asher, still sprawled unconscious on the bed. Understanding dawned on them, and after a few uneasy glances, greed got the better of fear. They agreed. When I finally stepped outside, Isabel was waiting near the hotel entrance. Her perfect manicure gleamed under the streetlight as her fists clenched tight, eyes blazing. Why are you the only one coming out? Where's Asher? I smiled, sweet and cryptic. No idea. Maybe he's occupied. Her nails dug into her palms. Listen carefully, Asher is mine. If you have any sense, you'll crawl away from our lives before I make you regret it. I gave her shoulder a light pat, my smile still perfectly polite. Oh, sweetheart, it's not just your world. It's the world for all 7 of you. Her expression flickered in confusion, but I didn't stay to explain. Back in my apartment, exhaustion hit me all at once. I sank onto the sofa, every muscle aching, and opened a conversation with 001. So, 001, why me? Why did you choose to bind with someone like me? There was a pause before it replied, as if distracted. I've been the top-performing system for years. It gets dull after a while. When I saw your record, I was intrigued. You weren't just bad. You were historically bad. So I figured, why not? Even a dumpster fire can be entertaining to watch burn. Wow. Thanks for the compliment. Realizing it had perhaps gone too far, 001 added quickly. You're not actually hopeless. You just got paired with a broken system. Unit 3412 came from a batch of faulty models. None of that was your fault. I froze. It wasn't your fault. You're not to blame. I had heard insults, punishments, and accusations so often that hearing those simple words made something tighten in my chest.
My nose stung.
For a moment, I actually wanted to hug the little orb. Too bad it didn't have a body. The brief warmth faded, and 001 switched back to its usual efficiency. We can't change targets until this one dies. So here are your options. 1. Keep pursuing Asher. 2. Kill him and I'll assign someone new. Your decision. I hesitated. There's no way Asher will fall for me now. I nearly beat him into the next life. But I don't really want to commit murder either. 001 cut in smoothly simple solution. We stay with him. Just follow my lead. Hours later, around 1 in the morning, Asher stirred. He groaned, rubbing the back of his neck, and started to sit up, then froze. Someone was sitting by his bed. I said nothing, just quietly peeled a piece of fruit with a small knife. When he turned his head, I lifted the blade slightly and smiled. Asher, do you love me? His eyes widened. Wah, a ghost.
Ah.
I pressed the knife's tip lightly against his neck, a quiet reminder to stay silent.
The chill of the blade did its job.
Asher froze, sweat beading on his forehead. See careful, he stammered. Don't let it slip. I repeated, calm and steady. Asher, do you love me? He clenched his jaw. Isabel is the only woman I care about. No matter what you do, I'll never love you. I pulled the knife away and stabbed it into a slice of apple instead. All right then, I said lightly. I'll ask again tomorrow. He just stared at me, speechless. Over the next several days, I made it my personal mission to appear wherever Asher was, randomly, relentlessly. Each time, I'd rough him up, then ask the same question. If he didn't answer, the routine repeated. 001. I muttered one evening, wiping sweat from my brow. Are you sure this plan will even work? There's a 99% chance of success. I frowned. And the other 1%? You beat him to death. Great. After nearly 2 weeks, Asher was a wreck. His nerves were shredded, his eyes sunken from lack of sleep. The day he finally tried to call the police, I stopped him by showing him the photos and videos from that night at the hotel. That broke him completely. He fell to his knees, trembling. What did I ever do to you? Why do you hate me so much? I looked down at him, my voice cold and even. If you never liked me, why did you let me stay close? You took every ounce of my effort, every act of devotion, and tossed me aside when it suited you. He had always played a cruel game, giving me fleeting moments of tenderness whenever I was ready to walk away, feeding me just enough hope to keep me crawling back. Behind my back, he called me a dog, bragging that he could summon or dismiss me at will. If that broken old system hadn't forced restraint, I would have ended him myself long ago. Asher's expression went blank with defeat. He closed his eyes. If that's all you want, fine. I'll be your boyfriend. Is that good enough for you? I tilted my head. So, do you love me? He stayed silent. I guess not enough, I said, almost thoughtfully. We'll try again tomorrow. Without another word, I climbed out through his window. I didn't see the way his expression twisted behind me, hatred burning in his eyes. He muttered, low and venomous. Evelyn, I'll make sure you die. Then he picked up his phone. Isabel, I need your help. Back home, I collapsed face first on the bed, groaning. How is he this stubborn? My arms are sore from beating him, and he still refuses to say it. 001's voice was perfectly calm. If he hasn't confessed yet, you're being too lenient. Next time, break both his legs, keep him locked up, and deny him food. Give him water only when he admits he likes you. Feed him when he says he loves you. I froze mid-breath, an uneasy chill crawling up my spine. Just as I was about to ask where it learned such methods, my phone rang. It was Asher. His voice was smooth, controlled, but I could hear the venom underneath. Evelyn, you wanted to hear me say I love you, right? Meet me at the abandoned factory on the edge of town tomorrow. I have a surprise for you. You'll want to see it. Before I could reply, he hung up. A heavy silence settled. I sighed. He must think I'm stupid. The trap was so obvious, it was almost insulting. 001 finally spoke. He's already broken enough. Just humor him. After thinking it through, I decided to go. 001 had been nagging me for days about how slowly I was progressing. It kept reminding me we still had 2 other worlds to clear, and if I didn't finish this one soon, it might take creative control. Considering its twisted water-for-like, food-for-love plan, I figured I'd better end this on my own terms. Around 4 in the afternoon, I took a cab and stopped a short walk from the old factory. From a distance, I could see Asher pacing near the entrance, glancing around like a trapped animal. When he spotted me, he forced a bright, shaky smile. "I've got a surprise for you," he said, rubbing his palms together. "Go inside, and you'll see." I tilted my head. "So, do you love me today?" He froze. "What?" Since he refused to answer, I gave him the usual treatment, one quick beating, and dropped him onto the ground. 001. Anyone inside? Scanning. The building is empty. That reassurance was enough. I started walking in, but halfway there, a sweet, unfamiliar scent filled my nose. "Danger." 001's voice snapped. "Get out now. The place is filled with anesthetic gas." Too late. I'd already inhaled. The world spun, colors bleeding into darkness. A rush of cold water jolted me awake. My whole body trembled as my vision cleared. 001's voice echoed weakly in my mind. Finally awake. I didn't respond. My wrists and ankles were bound tight to a chair. Across the room, Asher and Isabel stood together. His swollen face twisted into a grotesque grin when he saw me open my eyes. "You're done for, Evelyn." A group of hired muscles stepped into view. Isabel wrinkled her nose. "Don't kill her. I have plans to sell her overseas again." Asher chuckled in a sickly sweet voice. "Anything for you, darling." He crouched beside me, pressing a cold blade to my cheek. "Did you ever think you'd end up back under my control?" I ignored him and spoke silently to 001. "Me. This mission's a failure."
I'm sorry.
"Not your fault," I replied smoothly. "He's just filthier than we calculated." "Me. Fine, then just numb the pain. I'll see you in the next world." But instead of agreeing, 001 laughed, low and sinister. "No need. He dared to ruin my perfect record. Time for a reset." "Me. Wait, what?" "Confirm timeline coordinates. Initiating rollback." And just like that, time rewound. When the world snapped back into place, Asher was still on the ground pretending to be unconscious. I walked up and kicked him hard. He howled. A second later, Isabel and her goons came rushing out from behind the factory. "Asher," she cried. He looked horrified. "Why are you all here?" "She was hurting you," Isabel said indignantly. "I couldn't just stand there. I was this close to trapping her," he hissed back. "You." I cut him off with a punch that made his nose bleed. Impressive setup. I bet getting that gas wasn't cheap.
He gawked.
"How did you?" I didn't bother explaining. I just hit him again. "So, do you love me yet?" Isabel tried to intervene, but 001 handled it, summoning a clean bolt of lightning that zapped anyone who moved. Under the relentless storm of my fists and 001's theatrics, Asher finally broke. He burst into tears. "I love you. I love you, all right?" Love detected from target. Compiling results. 001's voice chimed, smug as ever. We returned to the white void. I felt uneasy. "Are we really going to get away with that?" "He said he loved you," 001 replied smoothly. I logged the keyword and multiplied it across thousands of files. No one will notice. And if the inspector checks, why worry? I am the inspectorate. Me. What? Apparently, my greatest ally wasn't bluffing. 001 was the real deal. Which made me wonder, what was all that agony in the last world for? Once the Asher mess was officially wrapped up, 001 wasted no time launching the next mission. This time, my new identity was that of a duke's legitimate daughter, and the conquest target was Prince Julian, 7th in line to the throne. Julian, unfortunately, had long been infatuated with my half-sister, Livia. When he saw me, someone who looked eerily similar to her but ranked higher in family status, he decided I'd make a convenient stand-in. But a substitute is just that, a shadow of the real thing. Once he'd used my family's influence to seize the throne, he discarded me without hesitation, married Livia, and even fabricated treason charges that led to my entire family's execution. Having witnessed 001's godlike interference in the previous world, I now looked to it for guidance, like a devoted disciple. 001, this guy's got power and an army. If I pull another Asher routine, won't I end up chopped to pieces before I even get close? 001 went quiet for a moment. This one's too high maintenance. Maybe we should just change targets. I frowned. You mean assassinate him and move on? Who said anything about killing him? Didn't you tell me the target had to die before we could switch? A pause, then a casual admission. Oh, right. That was a lie. I just really hated Asher. Do you like this one better then? Not really, Erit said, sounding almost sheepish. But Julian's a prince. His fate is tangled up with too many others. If we kill him, the world's cosmic administrators might notice, and we might get struck by lightning. I raised a brow. That's rich, coming from the system that literally called lightning down last time. The fates in that world owed me a favor, Erit said matter-of-factly. These ones don't know me yet.
Right.
Even divine beings had social hierarchies, apparently. Still, being forbidden to kill Julian was disappointing. My hatred for him ran even deeper than what I'd felt for Asher. It wasn't just anger, it was something raw and feral that burned straight through my veins. 001 must have sensed it, because it tried to reassure me. Relax. I've already lined up a new candidate for you. Compared to him, Julian is nothing. You'll thank me later. That caught my interest. It was the first time I'd ever heard 001 speak so highly of anyone. Who is it? You'll meet when the timing's right. Which was 001. Speak for not telling you yet. That was fine. It gave me the perfect excuse to lock myself inside the ducal estate, ignoring the palace and everyone in it. Apparently, my absence rattled Julian. The prince had grown used to my constant attention, and when I suddenly vanished, he began sending letters. I didn't even open them before tossing them aside. After a few days of my peaceful retreat, it wasn't just him getting restless. Livia herself paid me a visit. Dearest sister, she began, her tone dripping with feigned concern, why haven't you been spending time with His Highness lately? I didn't even bother looking up for my new romance novel. He doesn't like me. Why should I keep chasing heartache? I'm not the one he wants, and that's fine by me. Livia's smile tightened, her eyes gleaming with calculation despite her attempt at sweetness. You must have misunderstood, sister. His Highness and I are merely acquaintances. I finally set the book down and gave her a small, amused smile.
Oh.
The kind of acquaintances who meet in secret tea houses and can't seem to keep their hands to themselves. Her face went pale. How do you know about that?
Heh.
I wasn't called a professional groveler for nothing. There wasn't a single stolen glance, whispered promise, or hidden meeting between those two that escaped my notice. I casually listed a few of their secret rendezvous, and Livia went white as a ghost. Her knees nearly gave out before she turned and fled, covering her face as if she'd been struck by divine judgment. I went back to my book. By evening, 001 had gone strangely quiet, ignoring my attempts to start a conversation. Bored, I decided to slip out and check on Prince Julian's movements. Even if we were switching targets, I still wanted to make him suffer a little. But fate, or rather, the royal post, had other plans. Before I could leave, both Julian and a royal decree arrived at the estate. Julian came first, storming into my room with a fury that could have melted iron. Evelyn, how could you be so petty? Livia is your sister. I already promised to marry you, so why torment her? I stuck my pinky in my ear. Sorry, what was that? Couldn't hear you over the sound of your hypocrisy. He clenched his jaw, then forced his tone softer. You are to be a princess. She, at best, will only be a consort. For my sake, can't you go and apologize? He looked so certain I'd agree, as if the old, spineless Evelyn still existed. I raised an eyebrow. Your Highness, I never said I wanted to marry you. If you love my sister, then marry her. Just don't use me as your shield. Julian chuckled, as if humoring a child. Are you jealous, Evelyn?
Men.
So confident, so wrong. He held out his royal signet with a condescending smile. There. A little jealousy is cute, but too much doesn't suit you. Here, take this. It's my palace signet. You can visit me whenever you miss me. Soon, I'll make you my princess. I stared at him in disbelief. This man didn't just want his cake and to eat it, he wanted another cake baked and waiting. I was just about to roll up my sleeves and educate him in the art of humility when a booming voice rang out in the courtyard. A decree from His Majesty, the Emperor. Julian froze mid-step. He'd come under the excuse of visiting my father, so he was still in the main hall when the herald arrived. The Grand Herald unrolled the scroll and began reading aloud. By the grace of the heavens, His Majesty declares that Lady Evelyn de Valeraine, daughter of the Duke, is a woman of exceptional virtue and grace. The Emperor is most pleased. Julian's eyes brightened immediately. Father must be granting us a royal marriage. Yeah, sure. The Emperor couldn't possibly be that blind, could he? The herald continued, voice steady and clear. And hereby decrees that she shall be wed to His Highness, the Crown Prince, to become his Crown Princess. The Ministry of Rights and the Royal Astronomer will select the auspicious date. Julian.
Me.
Everyone else. My father blinked, utterly baffled. Daughter, have you met the Crown Prince before? I shook my head. Never even seen the man. Julian's face twisted in disbelief. Impossible. I was the one who petitioned father for this marriage. How could he give you to my brother? This decree must be fake. The Grand Herald smiled faintly. Perhaps the decree could be forged, Your Highness. But surely you recognize me? Julian's expression died on the spot. He knew exactly who the herald was, His Majesty's most trusted messenger. And that made his public meltdown all the more beautiful. Though I'd never met the Crown Prince, I had a strong suspicion this was 001's doing. I was about to ask, but then remembered, it was still mysteriously offline. The imperial decree stirred chaos across the capital. Julian sulked and raged in private, while Livia spent her days sniffing around for gossip about the Crown Prince. The Queen, on the other hand, was overjoyed, sending crates of jewels, hairpins, and an elaborate phoenix crown with my bridal robes. The night before the wedding, I was enjoying a rare, peaceful dream when someone shook me awake. I blinked. What in the world, Julian? Apparently, yes. The seventh prince himself had broken into my chambers in the dead of night. Has this man lost his mind? And where were the guards? Before I could scream, he clamped a hand over my mouth, desperation burning in his eyes. Evelyn, I know your heart belongs to me. You don't want to marry my brother. Run away with me. Of course, that wasn't love talking. He wanted to ruin my reputation, force my family's hand, and sabotage the Crown Prince in one reckless move. I wanted to curse him out in 10 different languages, but what came out was a single, beautifully simple word. Get lost. While he stood there, stunned, I screamed, Intruder! There's an intruder! Panic flared in his eyes as he bolted for the window, but I was faster. I grabbed his wrist, twisted it behind his back, and whispered, Your Highness, maybe keep your voice down? If someone finds you here, how will you explain this to your dear brother? Cold sweat trickled down his temple. If we're found together, how will you explain it? Everyone knows how close we are. I smiled. Who said you were the seventh prince? Before he could react, I pulled a black sack from under my pillow and shoved it over his head. The guards burst in, saw the masked figure, and didn't hesitate to beat him within an inch of his life. He stayed silent through it all, afraid to reveal his identity. When they were done, I waved a hand dismissively. Just a thief. Break both his hands and throw him out. The guards saluted. My lady is merciful. Julian, half dead on the floor, probably didn't share that opinion. After that satisfying little episode, I slept like a baby. The next day came in a blur of attendance, powder, and ceremony. By the time I was led to the bridal chamber, my brain had gone numb. Rumor had it the Crown Prince was frail, sickly, and rarely seen in public. I'd brace myself for a polite invalid. Maybe the Emperor hoped my so-called good fortune would extend his lifespan. But when the veil lifted, I forgot how to breathe. The man before me was tall, broad-shouldered, and devastatingly handsome. His gaze was sharp enough to cut glass, and there wasn't a trace of weakness in his posture. Your Highness, the Crown Prince? He smiled faintly. You may call me Kalen. I blinked. He went on, tone casual. I heard my little brother visited your chambers last night. My blood ran cold. How did you know? Kalen's lips curved into a familiar smirk. Host, you look adorable when you panic. My brain short-circuited. Wait, host. And just like that, it clicked. 001 sudden silence. Its perfect new target. Its weird excitement about meeting the right one. I gawked at him. Hold on. 001. How did you end up as someone's son? 001. Now in human form and clearly waiting for applause, just gave me a sly look. 001 sounded annoyed as it replied. What do you expect me to do? There isn't a single decent man in this backward age. The last world had at least some rule of law. Here, it's just whoever has the biggest sword wins, and women have it worst of all. I frowned. Still, you can't just possess the Crown Prince. Possess? Please, 001 scoffed. I'm only borrowing. Once I'm done, I'll even fix him up a bit.
He was supposed to die at 22.
With my upgrades, he'll live to 60 at least. Julian's entire plan for the throne had been built on the assumption that the crown prince would die young. Now that his rival was guaranteed a long, healthy life, that dream had gone up in smoke. I couldn't help but laugh. So, this counts as a mission cleared? 001 gave a smug nod.
Technically, yes.
But while I was attending a meeting at HQ, I took a peek through your archived memories. I saw what you endured, so I figured I'd grant you a few personal wishes. My heart softened. Didn't expect a system to be so sentimental. I'm giving you 5 stars. Don't generalize, 001 muttered, rolling its eyes. This is just me being amazing. Don't expect it from the others. I chuckled. Then tell me, why are you being nice to me? 001 went silent. The atmosphere thickened with something unspoken. Finally, it turned and said over its shoulder, work partners shouldn't flirt with love-struck fools. Heh. The next morning, the Emperor issued another decree, one that sealed Julian's fate. He ordered Julian to wed Livia. I didn't need to guess who'd planted that idea. But soon after, news broke that Julian's mother's entire family had been arrested for treason. The clan was thrown into prison to await execution. Even the royal consort, Julian's mother, hanged herself in disgrace. After the wedding, Julian and Livia were banished to a far-off borderland with the title of a minor king and queen, forbidden to ever return to the capital. I was stunned. You really went that hard on Julian? Why didn't you deal with Asher the same way? 001, calmly practicing calligraphy, lifted its brush to show me a few bold strokes. Who says I didn't? After you left, I made sure they faced justice. Justice?
How?
Anonymous police report. No wonder it kept insisting that the previous world had a proper legal system. The afternoon sun slanted through the window as my consciousness began to fade. The last thing I saw before leaving that world was the line 001 had written across the scroll, an ancient saying twisted into something that roughly meant power and wealth solve everything. He was definitely enjoying being someone's son. After seeing what 001 could pull off, I couldn't wait to see the next world it dropped me into. But the moment the new world loaded, agony tore through me. Like my heart was being carved out, my bones flayed raw. 001 immediately took control and launched a counterattack. A blow charged with spiritual energy should have sent the attacker flying, but he caught it with ease. Evelyn, my former master said coldly, this debt is yours to pay. Alera's essence root was destroyed because of you. I owe you nothing. I spat. With my body barely holding together, 001 dulled my pain receptors. I teleported away, blood spilling from my lips, landing far from his reach. Valerius extended his hand, his power dragging at my body. You crippled Alera's cultivation. I'll take your essence root to replace hers. Alera leaned weakly on another disciple, her voice trembling with false compassion. Sister, even after what you've done, I don't hate you. Please give me your root so that at least one of us can live. The memory of being torn apart and left for beasts flashed before me. I smiled grimly.
Fine.
You can have it. Without hesitation, I thrust my hand into my chest and pulled out my glowing spiritual core. The watching disciples gasped. Alera's breath hitched, her eyes shining greedily. But before she could move, I crushed the core into dust. The shock on their faces was almost beautiful. Then, while their horror still froze them in place, I reached into my chest again and drew out another one. I'm feeling generous today, I said lightly. Buy one, get one free. No! Alera's scream tore through the air, raw and desperate. Before I could destroy the second root, Valerius finally acted. A blast of power hit me square in the chest, numbing my arm and forcing my grip open. The core flew from my hand and landed neatly in Alera's. Relief washed over her face as she immediately began the absorption ritual, surrounded by her cronies who guarded her like a sacred treasure. She had no idea what was really in her hands. 001's amused voice buzzed in my mind. Let them enjoy their little miracle. They can't even tell a real essence root from a fake one. I couldn't help laughing.
Shame.
I didn't even get to pull out the third one. Both the one I crushed and the one she absorbed were illusions. 001 had created 5 perfect counterfeits that only looked genuine. After my laughter died down, I collapsed to meditate. Pain still gnawed at the wound in my chest, but my spirit was steady. This was the last world I failed, I whispered. And it was the cruelest death of them all. I remembered it vividly. My root ripped out, my heart drained dry, used as fodder for experiments. My body infested with demonic parasites until nothing human remained. When I'd finally outlived my usefulness, they tossed me aside like trash. All of it because I had been weak and foolish enough to trust. My master had seemed so righteous. He treated me with stern fairness, never showing preference. When my previous system told me to win him over, I couldn't do it. I'd felt it was wrong to try to taint someone so noble. But later, I learned he wasn't noble at all. He was just blinded by his love for Alara. For her, there was nothing he wouldn't do. Not even murder. If I had been anyone else, maybe I would have found his obsession tragic or romantic. But I was the one he sacrificed. And all I felt was disgust. The sound of gagging echoed in my mind. 001, what now? I asked, startled. 001 groaned. Your master falling for his own disciple? That's like a teacher dating their student, or a general seducing a recruit, or a doctor crossing the line with a patient. I blinked. Why not a boss falling for his overworked employee? For that, refer to any random billionaire romance on the market. Figures. Even the system had a sense of humor. 001's chatter snapped me out of my dark thoughts, and a wicked plan began to form in my mind. I sighed, looking up at the sky. You know what? This world of cultivation is amazing. In my first life, the law held me back. In the second, I had to kneel before kings. But here, only strength decides who lives or dies. Too bad, I don't have any. Your natural aptitude is extraordinary. Given time, you could surpass them all. I smiled faintly. Time is exactly what I don't have. Once Valerius realizes that essence root is fake, he'll hunt me across the realms. There'll be nowhere to hide. Without warning, 001 flew from my consciousness and transformed into a golden longsword, gleaming with a fierce, cold light. In this world, it said proudly, sword cultivators reign supreme. If one awakens a sword spirit, their power becomes boundless. When you lack strength, I will lend you mine. I grasped the hilt, and power flooded my body. My cultivation surged uncontrollably. 001's voice rang with confidence. As the sword spirit, I offer my full power to Evelyn. May her blade carve vengeance and seek the Tao. Let the heavens bear witness to this oath. Trust 001 to make everything dramatic. The skies darkened immediately, thunderclouds spiraling overhead, 5 colossal storms representing the realms I was defying. The heavens themselves seemed enraged. My hands trembled. 001, are you sure I can survive this? A pause. When the lightning strikes, throw me at it. My heart dropped. You'll die. Yes. I tightened my grip.
No.
We face it together. Maybe I had been a coward once, but something was teaching me courage. If this was my final world, I wanted to leave a memory worth keeping. Maybe 001 would visit me again someday. As if hearing my thoughts, the sword thrummed, and a storm of sword techniques poured into my mind. My understanding sharpened like a blade's edge. I raised my sword, slashing as the lightning crashed down, a blinding storm swallowing everything. I couldn't tell if I was alive or ash. When the light faded, rain began to fall. Gentle, healing. A golden figure emerged from the storm, his form settling into that of a young man with calm, unaging eyes. One heavenly tribulation had transformed me into a grandmaster and had given 001 a body.
See?
I told you. My hosts are never cowards, 001 said smugly, already writing imaginary praise for itself. I didn't reply. Maybe this was goodbye. With newfound power, I soared back to my sect. Every enemy that stood in my way fell easily, no match for my blade. Soon, Valerius himself appeared, attacking without a word. His strikes were swift, but I blocked them all effortlessly. For the first time, his composed expression cracked. How did you grow so powerful? I smirked. Guess my backup's better than yours. My sword pierced his heart in one thrust. I extracted his essence root in return for everything he had taken from me. Alara watched from behind him, trembling. I turned to her, smiling sweetly. Little sister, didn't you want an essence root? Our master's is far better than mine. Do you want it? Her eyes widened. The truth dawned. Mine had been a fake. Desire burned in her gaze. Before she could answer, I closed my hand and crushed it into nothing. Her scream echoed. 001 immediately opened a portal, pulling me away before vengeance could catch up. Power shifts fast in this world, and grudges even faster. In the white void, silence stretched. For once, 001 didn't speak. Congratulations, host. All 3 missions completed. As per your original agreement, you now have 2 choices. Option 1. Choose a world to retire in. We suggest the last one. I whispered. And the second? Continue as a long-term host under our transmigration division. You'll live longer, but each mission carries risk. Choose your next system wisely. I hesitated before asking, can I stay bound to you forever? In principle, no. I nodded quietly. I should have expected that. Systems like 001 didn't linger. Still, I chose the second option. Maybe in the countless worlds ahead, we'd meet again. I tried to say goodbye, but the words caught in my throat. So I severed the link myself. Moments later, a new bond formed. 001's voice echoed, calm and familiar. Thank you for binding with System 001, host. Let's continue our partnership. I froze. Wait, you're back? But you said you couldn't stay bound to me forever. A hint of laughter colored its tone. I said in principle. But you should know better than anyone who I am. Huh. I'm your strongest ally. Always.